Site of the Battle of Bannockburn, Stirling Castle, the National Wallace Monument. There we turn northwest towards the Trossachs area, stopping at the entrance to the Trossachs. You see it to our right? Kidnapped. That's why we could not understand recently when scientists in Scotland started to clone sheep. Take a boat on the loch costs you £40. No matter which river or loch you wish to fish in Scotland, you've always to pay someone the privilege of doing so. The very good salmon rivers are extremely expensive, The River Tweed's probably the finest salmon river in Scotland in the Borders. Last year the Tweed generated some £24 million in fees. The river is basically by the then Transport Minister, a man called Ernest Sharple. Mr. Sharples just happened to be the director of a major road building company at the time. Pure coincidence. We're about to cross the River Orchy as it makes its way down the glen. You'll see here to our right and left where the reforestation is taking place. Here in Scotland. Telford built many bridges here in Scotland, England, town in England named after it. The Black Corrie's ahead of us. Welcome to the Highlands. Loch Bay to our left and right. The loch was split in the 30s when they built this road through the moorland. The White Corrie Mountains to our left, the White Corries. or two little patches of snow still remaining on the white corries yet. Not much, just a wee bit. William of Orange, recently crowned King of Britain, Protestant king. Many of the Highland clans remained Catholic, loyal to the Stuarts. There were a number of little skirmishes between government troops and Highland clans, but nothing of any real consequence. King William then issued a proclamation delivered by the Secretary of State for Scotland, John Dalrymple, the Earl of Stair. Proclamation stated that if the Highland clan chiefs, if they signed an oath of allegiance to William by the 6th of January 1692, William said he would take no reprisals against any of the Highland clans, which was a lie. In November of 1691, orders had already been given to an Argyll regiment, the regiment led by Campbell of Glen Lyon. The orders were to put all of the MacDonalds of Glencoe under 70 to the sword. William had decided to make an example of one of the Highland clans. He chose the MacDonalds of Glencoe. It was in fact a branch of the MacDonalds called the Macleans, majority of whom were living in Glencoe at the time. The clan chief, old Maclean Maclean, 73 years of age, quite prepared to sign the oath of allegiance, having been given permission to do so by the Stuarts, who at this time they were living in France. Maclean walked from Glencoe to Fort William to sign the oath. But that wasn't what the authorities wanted, wasn't what they had planned. So they told McCain and the sheriff the judge was not available at Fort William to take his oath. And he'd have to travel to Inverary, a village in the south beyond the mountains, where the next sheriff, the next judge was available. By the time McCain reached Inverary, it was the 10th of January. It was 4 days too late. This gave the authorities the excuse to carry out the orders they had been given. The Argyll regiment, led by the Campbells, lived with the MacDonalds here in Glencoe for 12 days, accepting their hospitality, their food, drink and shelter, before at 5 AM on the 13th of February 1692, they went about their cruel deed. At the end of the massacre, some 40 MacDonalds lay dead where they slept. More were killed as they fled to Glen. It was a very wintry, stormy, very cold morning. Some, however, did survive. Over 80 died in total. 3 years later, the massacre of Glencoe was deemed a murder by a court of law in Edinburgh, by which time the Earl of Stair, Dalrymple, he had died. The Argyll regiment were fighting somewhere in Europe. Only other person who could have been charged with the murder was King William. That wasn't going to happen. The massacre was not a clan feud, it was a government order. Just so happened that the regiment given the orders were led by Campbell of Glen Lyon. Captain Robert Campbell led the massacre. Robert Campbell was 60 years of age, very old for a captain in the army. Robert Campbell was also an alcoholic and a bankrupt. He had his own agenda against the MacDonalds. Legend states, in fact, that Robert Campbell killed his own niece, who was married to a MacDonald. Today there is still some rivalry between the MacDonalds and the Campbells. Sometimes it can be friendly, sometimes not. I should know, I am actually married to a MacDonald. Not a MacDonald of Glencoe, but a MacDonald of the Isles. There is a notice at the entrance which states no Tinkers, no Buskers, no Campbells. Before the massacre, the Highland clans were noted for their hospitality. Highlanders would give even their worst enemies shelter from the storm. That hospitality was abused by the Campbells. It was never the same again. That's why they're still despised by many to this day. Murder under trust. The massacre of Glencoe, the 13th of February 1692. Certainly living up to its image today. The Glen of Weeping, Glencoe ahead of us. The Buccleuch of Vor to our left. Ahead of us, the Buccleuch of Veg, the great and little herdsman of Etorf. Glencoe today is controlled by the National Trust of Scotland. The land given to the National Trust in the 1930s by an English. The falls here to our left. There's a wee bit of water.
Upon the rabble, the MacDonalds of Glencoe, and to put all to the sword under 70. You are to have special care that the old fox Macia and his sons do not escape your hands. This is by the King's special commands of the country.
Oh, cruel is the snow that sweeps Glencoe and covers the grave O'Donnell. Oh, cruel was the foe that raped Glencoe and murdered the house of MacDonald.
The sea loch we passed at Fort William, which also forms part of the canal network. The two are joined by what is called Neptune Staircase. This is a place called Ballabee, just outside Fort William. Neptune Staircase is a series of 8 locks which join the two together. There are in total 29 locks on the Caledonian Canal. We will see 5.
Well, I thought we're still following in.
Yeah, something about a cat, something about a White House, something about Nessie. Gibt da drüber fährt der. Wer? Da ist
So there's one rule for them and one for the possible use, which is also water, and yet you have to just use it for combination. Game exercise.
Yeah, I think some people went off the first landing.
Looking to the left, there is the Jacobite warrior, a sister ship just leaving from the castle as well. Look over to the left, you'll see a wooden post standing in the ground, just partly hidden by the trees. That was a marker post for William Cobb when he tried his attempt at the water speed record on Loch Ness. I'll tell you more about John Cobb a little later. Killing John Cobb almost instantly. His wife, who watched the attempt, asked if any wreckage from the boat to be collected and burnt so that souvenir hunters
waiting to find one. Sooner or later, one will come to the surface, and then we'll know what it is. They are offering £100,000 for a picture of Rockhead Foster, and if you can identify what it is, you know it now.
It sits in over 500 acres of beautiful parkland, of which you could walk in real time. So they put a chimney over the window to extract the fumes from his bedroom. As you can see now, there is a modern stanchion with electric lights. Not so romantic, but not as smelly as the paraffin lamp. I believe somebody has put a paraffin lamp in the bay window. It is now a holiday let. If you'd like to do, you can rent it and gaze at Loch Ness all day long. Own a lighthouse. Just admiring the lighthouse.
As we now turn south, the Caledonian Stadium in Inverness to our right, home of Inverness Caledonian Thistle football team, soccer team. I was born here, and there's some over here again to the left. That little boat coming in, that's been out searching for the dolphins. That'll be a Celtic cross. A memorial again to the Grant Gordon, the Duke of Gordons. The barracks, partly built by General Wade, placed here at the entrance to the Glen, housing government troops. Shinty, 2 teams of 12 with sticks in the ball tried to score points. Many compare Shinty to hockey. It's not. You may find them difficult to understand. You've already heard one. You may recognise one or two of the songs. If you do, if you know the words, please feel free to join in. Please sing along. But I would ask you not to dance in the aisle of the coach, please.
And you'll take the high road while I take the low. And I'll be in Scotland
minutes if you want. One minute 59. Go away. Go away here. If that's the whiskey you like, that's the best one. It's a Tummel beneath us. And you can have great fun finding a whiskey you really do like. The white building to our left, virtually under the bridge in the village of Queensferry on the south side of the river. That's the Hawes Inn. If you're familiar with Kidnapped, for example, Robert Louis Stevenson, that's where Kidnapped begins, in the Hawes Inn in Queensferry. He spent a lot of time there, as did Sir Walter Scott. This Hawes Inn is an antiquary, one of his poems. 2 years ago, a competition was held to name the new bridge here on our right. A number of very bland, boring suggestions were put forward, including the eventual winner. It's going to be called the Queensferry Crossing. How original. Many of us wanted it to be called the Third, Fourth.